Now this was good progression for Rei. This was really good progression. As we know, this is a character-driven story, and it's been about a character called Rei, our main character, that has been through so much in his childhood. He's been alone, he doesn't really know how to feel and connect with anyone. He's just depressed. And this episode opens up that closed up box that is Rei. You see multiple times throughout this episode to where his heart is starting to warm up, where he is no longer by himself, where he is no longer sad, depressed, laying down and sleeping and not doing anything while others continue on moving forward and doing stuff and being productive. He's no longer doing that in this episode. You see him take a different route, and it's a very good route that he takes throughout this episode, especially the beginning. I had no idea that the conversation Rei would have with this person that wants to play sports, how important this conversation would be, and the interaction between these two characters. Many might not understand, like, the exact message of that scene, but my interpretation of it is to where Rei as an individual, he's someone that feels like the reason why he's depressed, or he's been slacking off, is because he's constantly tried to avoid, different things, avoid socializing with people. He just wants to be by himself, he's doing his own thing, he's independent, but at the same time, though, if he would have ran away and not socialized, he wouldn't have went to high school. So, in a way, he was always in a constant battle with himself. He went to high school because it felt like if he didn't go to high school, he'd be running away, but it would make much more sense if he didn't go to high school and focus completely on his shogi playing. But that's the big thing here, the complicated matter with Rei's character. He felt like he's been running away for a majority of his life from the actual problems he's faced, and he's been very conflicted about this, and so he constantly has these regrets that build up, and he wants to kind of just, overcome and not regret anymore. That's why he decided to go to high school instead of not, going at all, because he knew he would regret not going to high school if he just, dismissed it. So, overall, we see this character that reflects on what his actions have done throughout his life. And he says to this person that's younger than him, and does actually look a little bit older than Rei, but he says it to him and says, in a way, he's like, just don't slack off. And then the sports player, he realized what Rei was trying to say. Rei conveyed the message to him in a way to where he understood, and it made it to where for the first time in Rei's life, he's actually had someone he could connect with and actually express his emotions that feel very similar to someone else. And it's kind of like this. It's something I've said in reviews in the past. For instance, you can't truly understand someone's pain unless you've been through it yourself. I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, you could say, I feel bad for you, I'm sorry for you. You could say all sorts of things. Like, I know how you feel, I know why you're happy, I know why you're sad. Even though you say that, if you haven't been through those certain experiences, then obviously you don't know truly how it feels. And so this is the first time that Rei has actually ever been able to connect with someone that kind of understands some of his regrets he has. Not his entire backstory, but it was enough for him to have a connection with this man. And when he found someone that he could actually talk to, someone he could actually feel that's very similar to him in terms of feeling regrets and realizing certain things they do, they look back on, wish they would have done differently, and the only time they can really do anything is by blaming themselves, Rei had that connection, and that's why he was happy. That's why you saw the room light up. And it was thanks to Studio Shaft and the artists and animators and the production team, all of it, that was able to put together such a great episode. It wasn't just the writing, but it was also how the scene was just drawn in general. The way you saw the entire environment around Rei just light up from like dark colors to a very bright, vivid yellow and white, you saw that he was actually finding happiness. And this is something very rare you don't see often with Rei's character, and that truthfully makes me happy to see something like that, to see this man actually happy for a change, and to see how he is smiling, he made a connection, and that this person means a lot to him now after that, and he definitely would like to talk to him more, which he emphasizes once the conversation ends and they need to move and go on. And, the way he says, like, yeah, I would like to talk to you again, that just lets us know that his heart is finally opening up. Now, it wasn't just that either. After all of that happened, we move into more happier tones too, even more than what we got. Rei, he starts to actually just realize how good of a friend Nikaido is, or, Botaro in his, nickname. I want to call him Botaro for short, because it's, funnier, but also easier. Rei realizes how good of a friend he has. I mean, You know you have a good friend when he's just sitting there constantly just, egging you on. He's just saying things, it either pisses you off, and he's just saying things that really just hit you right in the heart. Because that's how you know you have a friend. I mean, usually you know if you have a friend if you feel like you're just getting mad at them for something very petty or stupid, and then eventually you can make it up or whatever. That's usually you have a good friend. And I mean, the way Nikaido or Botaro was talking to Rei, he's like, what are you doing all that? Stop giving up. And then he's like, what are you doing? Take better care of yourself. He's just getting all this emotions, and he's yelling at the camera at, Rei, telling him that you need to understand what you're doing. It just really hits you right then and there how good of a friend he is. I mean, we already knew he was a good man and how he interacted with, Rei, but I feel like Rei finally realizes how close he is with Nikaido and how they are truly friends. This isn't someone that's trying to use Rei, trying to use him for his money or his wealth or, just who he is and as a person in general. Nikaido is actually treating Rei with respect, someone he looks at as an equal, and Rei is starting to realize this. I mean, you see how he got very upset and angry, but he has to realize that he's getting angry like this, feeling these emotions, because, he's actually being able to argue with a friend, and this is something relatively new to him, because we do know in the past that Rei, he was used by his colleagues, and he was just left drunk and all that, and we saw what Akari did for him and took him in and helped him out, so we know he has a bad experience with friends. He's someone that hasn't really had good friends at all, and this is the first time he's ever experienced something like this, someone actually really helping him out with the kindness of their heart, and looking at him as an equal, and so once again, another very critical moment for Rei. And then carrying on past that, you have another moment when he gets very happy, when he starts to try to teach shogi to someone, and this is also something that he has never experienced, but also something that opens his heart up even more. When Hina actually gets interested in shogi and wants to know more about it, this is the first time he's ever had someone walk up to him and actually show an interest in his, game, what he wants to do and what he's doing for a living. I mean, it's something, or the first time he's ever experienced this. I mean, he's probably used to talking to people or kind of socializing. We know he doesn't like to, but we know he's had to talk somewhat to people around him that are into shogi because, where he's at in his position. But this is the first time that someone's really ever showed interest in wanting to learn. So it's kind of like he was being a teacher. He was being that senpai trying to teach someone, and obviously he wasn't really that good of a senpai. Botaro had to come in and help out, but I mean, it was something that probably made him very happy because someone actually took a general interest in his profession. It's kind of like this. I mean, let's just say you're a father or mother, whoever, and you're doing a job, okay, and you're really proud of your job. I can say that for myself. If I had kids, I would, say, if my kids were interested in my profession, they wanted me to talk about it, or they wanted to learn more about it, I'm like, yeah, I'll talk to you about it. I mean, it would make me happy, and I feel like any parent could also realize, or any close friend that's teaching your friend or whatever, you can feel that, pride inside of you, like, oh, this makes me happy. They're actually wanting to know more about me. They're wanting to know more about what I like. It's like you're forming this bond with someone, and that's what he was doing as well when he was talking to Hina, and he was telling her how to play. Even though he was very rough with his explanation, you do know he cares a lot to be able to do something like that, and Botaro helping him out, too, just shows how good of a friend he is. So, March comes in like a lion, a very good show. It's such a good show with all of the character development going on in this series. Just how deep Rei's character is so enjoyable to watch episode after episode, and I just can't wait to see where he's going to end up as a character before everything is said and done with this anime series. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.